Ladies and gentlemen, let's shift our focus now to the other big story we are tracking. Every year, a non-profit organization called Pratham releases a survey on how rural education is doing. Let's start with the good news. 89% children between the age of 14 to 18 are enrolled in educational institutions, schools, colleges. Here is something interesting. 90% of them are on social media. Now let's get to the not such good news. Most kids in rural India between the age group of 14 to 18 cannot do basic class 3 math. 14 to 18, and they can't do basic class 3 math. 43% cannot read English sentences. 25% cannot read standard 2-level texts in their own mother tongue, in their own language. But when it comes to technology, they are clocking in higher levels of mastery. 89% of them have smartphones, 90% have used social media, and 66% of them can set an alarm. 90% of the rural kids surveyed between the age group of 14 to 18 have smartphones at home, and more boys own a smartphone compared to girls. Child labor still exists. That is what the report is illustrating. 33.7% kids worked for more than 15 days in the month of December. Those who don't attend school or college, well, 55% of them don't do it because they are working. What is the report telling us? I'm putting that question to my guests who are joining me this evening. Thank you very much. Praneet Mungali, you're a trustee at the Sanskriti Group of Schools. Thank you very much. Vinesh Menon, CEO. The true problem areas then are reading and comprehension, reading, especially English and its comprehension, and math. The report is also finding out that when it comes to money calculations, the boys seem to be better at it than girls. I'm just wondering if what the report is telling us about how children in rural area between the age of 14 and 18 are adapting to technology, the fact that 90% of them are on social media, the fact that 90% rural homes have a cell phone. I'm just thinking to myself, these kids obviously are smart enough. They're not dumb kids, they're smart kids. If they're adapting to technology very quickly without anyone teaching them getting to social media, etc. Now, if they're smart enough to adapt to technology, why are they not smart enough to do basic math, which is class 3 math for a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old? The problem clearly is then not with the kid, it's with the way we teach kids.
That's a pertinent point, Shreya. And like Vinesh pointed out earlier, the roots of this are in a couple of factors. Firstly, most of these children are coming from households where they're first-generation learners, especially because the focus of this survey is in the rural areas. So they do not have the advantage of parents who have had access to a great formal education. So in that sense, they're hamstrung by the fact that they don't have an advantage of starting school early, and even when they're starting, the environment at home isn't necessarily prioritizing it. And even though the focus of the study is from 14 to 18-year-olds, there is a big gap of, because in India, compulsory education is only till age 14. So from age 14 to age 18 onwards, the enrollment ratio drops. That's a worrying sign. And there are gender differences there as well. So many of these students, they haven't had access to a strong foundational program from their early age. That's a problem. They're first generation learners where their needs are very different. That needs to be mapped very accurately. That's a challenge. Coming to the point of technology, which you made, Shreya, the power of technology and how simple it's been made is that it's very easy to adapt it, especially when it's for recreational use and entertainment use, and powerful algorithms of social media, companies else, etc., make it very simple and easy to use, where you can spend a lot of time and get very little in terms of educational content out of it. So a lot of the technology in COVID didn't really help, where the kind of disruption that COVID caused of online learning and children, even though they had access to smartphones at that time, they had to be shared. So the 2 years of the loss of learning during COVID, gave a blow to children who aren't starting from a very strong base to start off with. And technology, if it's used correctly, if it's used in a manner where educationists are using it to accentuate the learning, it can be a great tool. It can also be a very big distraction if you're just given children, who have access to smartphones and parents don't know what they're up to.
I have some exposure to village education because, all of us come from villages. You go back there, you see how schools work there. My experience is, the teachers will not show up. If they show up, there are way too many kids. So you'll have an older student teaching the younger ones, and the older ones can do exactly what they want to. I'm sure this is not a template for all places, but I'm thinking if this is how it works in my village, probably this is how it works in many villages. Cheating is rampant. Cheating is rampant. Everyone will pass because they know they can cheat, because their teachers will encourage them to cheat. Any views on how disconnected maybe governments are to the way students in rural India are taught?
Again, who's the director?
I think the nub of the problem there,
Praneet.
is that in any kind of a structure where you're uncoupling accountability from the actual results over there is an inherent problem over there where in a private setting, if you would think about it, if there were students in a school who would consistently underperform, there is no way that the principal of the school or the teachers of the school wouldn't have some accountability, either from the parents or, people simply wouldn't go to that kind of a school. So a system where a formal structure of almost a report card for how the school teachers and how the principals are performing, that needs to get more robust. But there are some bright sparks, and there are bits of good news there, Shreya, because in some states, they are bringing this forth. They are bringing, they're using technology to bring forth more accountability, taking balanced scorecards about the children's performance, tying that up with, how they decide to handle promotions for people else, etc. It's more difficult to do that in a structure where people know they have absolute job safety and security, right? Finally, at the end of the day, if that is not in peril, it's difficult to put in accountability, but change is slowly but surely happening. And given the fact that it's coming back from a legacy of a lot of sloth, lots of inertia, it is bound to take time. And another piece of good news, to take away from the report is that approximately the number of children in every age group are approximately 25 million. And now we have about 22 million children in who are formally enrolled in the schools as opposed to 11 million in the year 2006. So while the quality of education can definitely be better, the access is definitely more broad-based and it's reaching a more grassroots level.